Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Tiny Shutter Podcast. This is a show all about iPhone photography, and we have other surprises too. I am Marc Sadowski.
I'm Joseph Ferreira.
I'm Dave Podnar.
I'm Greg McMillan.
And I'm Matt Hoffman.
So, as you know, by the sound of our voice, we're switching it up a little bit. Tiny Shutter has had a pretty crazy week behind the scenes, and I wanted to step out in front and kind of talk about it because some folks are going to see an immediate change and some folks aren't. On the back end of Tiny Shutter, I'd like to say that things are held together by Joe, what would you say? Like duct tape and
unicorns and pixie dust. Yes.
Right. And a lot of those don't exist, as we have come to find out, which made everything fall apart.
Well, let me give everybody a kind of a glimpse into last week or the last episode. So I went through, I did my editing, put everything together, uploaded the episode onto the website. And, on the off chance, I usually check to see if it pops up on the podcast feed, and it wasn't there. I'm like, that's interesting. It's usually instantaneous. So I waited a little bit and still wasn't there. And I was like, that's weird. So I contacted Mark and said, Mark, I can't find the episode. It's on the website. I did everything correctly, but it's not there.
And of course, I looked onto the website as, my producer role is wont to do, and it's like, oh crap, I actually have to do some work. I had to dig in, and the service that we were using for the podcasting, I'm not going to mention their names, but they are representative of a fruit. They just up and stopped working.
They were saying it was our fault, and it was like, how is this our fault? It was something like too much caching or something like that.
Apparently, it was raining money because they said we had too much cash. It was so I was on the horn. By on the horn, I mean email exchange with tech support for literally just one round of exchange, and then I've never heard from them since. And the problem was that the podcast was just not updating to the Apple feed. Some of the smaller feeds were getting the episode, and it just up and didn't work. And so as I was seeing that we weren't going to get much help from the
Company X,
the service, I had to look for alternatives. And we kind of toyed around with using Anchor for a while. And it seemed like a solution that would kind of free up the website itself and maybe allow us to get some ad revenue in, because with Anchor you can advertise. But we held off on that because, one, we haven't really had any advertising on the site for a long time, not since the early days. And way back when, the ads just didn't feel like a good fit. But I see what you did there, Dave. So it just we held off on it, but this kind of forced our hand into using Anchor now. So with that, we are going to probably in the next few weeks start introducing advertising to the episodes. Right now, I think I have them set up to be at the very end of the episode. And we are kind of playing it by ear to see a good transition, first of all. And two, can we make it fun for everybody? So with the addition of regular advertising, we might introduce some fake ads just to get some fun reads off people. This is something that we were doing with the lens wipe years ago, where we did nothing but fake advertising, which probably hurt us in the long run because we couldn't get real advertising.
Wait. You don't happen to have II at the ready, do you?
No, I don't have any of those. That is lost to time. But hey, we don't need to look back. We are going to move forward with fresh new fake ads and make them photographic related. So, that's just throwing it out there to everybody to, this is what's been happening, because everything, trying to fix the back end has delayed me considerably. Last week, we were supposed to have a YouTube episode that we were going to put on the YouTube feed. And I just completely ignored that because I was just racking my brains on how are we going to fix this problem. And ultimately we never fixed the problem. It was just we just moved everything to Anchor, and that was actually if I had just moved everything to Anchor years ago, this wouldn't be an issue at all. I mean, moving to Anchor was really, really fast. Fast, easy. Gee, that almost sounds like an advertisement for Anchor. But I gotta say, Anchor really saved our butts. It was the only method that we all could come up with that would allow us to keep the episode going up on a regular basis and easy to use, and with our restrictive knowledge of back end website operations. We're all photographers. That's kind of our limitation. So
and for people who are just tuning in and finding our show, we're not new at this. We've been doing this for quite a while. This would be episode 341. So we're not just, hey, we've been doing this 10 episodes, and you know what? We needed to find another thing to host our episodes because we have these big ideas. We're not here to, about the advertising. We're not here about, we just want to get our content out. We want to be able to get people involved and listen to us jabber on, and have fun. But, this isn't, something that, we kind of like thought, hey, let's just go ahead and try this. No, we went years,
how many years have we been recording?
2012, right?
I think it was 2012.
Yeah.
So
2012. So 8.5.
So yeah, we are. I'm happy to say that we are the longest running iPhone photography podcast out there. I can't say we're the only iPhone photography podcast out there. There are many others who tried for a few months and just stopped doing it. But I'm very happy to say that we are the longest running iPhone photography podcast. And with Anchor, this gives us an opportunity to expand our reach, because with the service that we were using before, it was very limited. Anything that would show that to another audience just wasn't happening. So now we are available on Spotify and all the other third-party apps that are out there. But Spotify, that seems to be the big one that everybody is using for podcasting now. That along with the Apple feed. So got to roll with the times, I think. And this gives us a good opportunity to be seen, or in this case, heard by the largest amount of ears possible. So
are we getting better stats than we did with the other service?
That is the other thing. Holy crap. Anchor has allowed us to, with just 1 week's worth of information, we have been getting more information on our listeners more than we got from the other service. Again, the other service, and I don't want to knock them too much, but I'm going to a little bit.
Well, Greg and I still use the other service for other feeds, but
before the show,
they were not helping us.
Right. And anything that you wanted extra was going to cost extra. It was going to be like $12 a month and then $30 a month or another X amount of dollars per month. It just kept stacking on and stacking on. With Anchor, it's just, here's all your information. And prior to us doing the show, I showed you guys what Anchor was showing us for statistics, and it was pretty awesome how far we could break it down. And so that's just going to allow us to get more information and be able to provide a better show for everybody. And now on top of that, now that we have everything squared away, we will start putting the episodes out on YouTube. So if you want to know what any of us look like, I'm sorry. We are there to disappoint you. Although Matt's a good-looking guy, so at least you have that.
That's right.
Oh, and Mark, after looking at those stats and how the information they gave us, Ed in Peoria, Illinois, why did you stop listening halfway through the show? I'm kind of interested, really. I mean, the post pick at the end. I mean, you gotta listen to the end just for that. I mean, come on, Ed.
It was a Windows phone, and so you have to give them a little bit of slack.
That is true. That is true.
It's all good.
You gotta squirt your content when you can.
So with that, we hope that we can provide the very best episode to everybody, and we want to continue this grand tradition of I got nothing. We just wanted to we just want to be able to do the show and get everybody the best content possible, and now we get to continue to do so, and we could get a little scratch extra. That's going to help us again grow the channel. And so what we're asking for is you, the listener, if you are being inundated with ads, definitely let us know, because that is something that we don't want to happen. So if you experience any adverse feedback, let us know. tinyshutter@gmail.com. You'll be able to let us know, what is it that you're hearing? Is the ad bad? Is it offensive? Let us know, and we'll be able to take care of things on our end here.
If it's a native ad and it's offensive, then you're just gonna have to deal with it. But
If it's an Android ad, then I gotta let them play. Look, they need something. Right. Those poor souls. So.
Well, and this is their thing. I'm assuming, and I just want to clarify for the audience, you have no input on what ads get put in.
I have some input.
Okay.
I need to continue reading the instructions, but I'm working through.
But just listening to other podcasts, and occasionally you hear people say, "Hey, we've heard feedback," and because of what the service they use, obviously not Anchor, they say they just put the ads on and we have no input.
Yeah.
And the podcast is like, "Hey, the ads that they're serving us is 100% is 180 degrees opposite of our views. But if you don't like them, fast forward. Otherwise, we're taking their money. And obviously, no one listening to us is going to like these people. So think about it that way."
I want to kind of avoid that because.
Well, no, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. That's why I was wondering in terms of how much input, because I don't know, and I think listeners may be wondering.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm getting this. How much control do you have over as a podcaster, as the person directly inputting and tweaking the dials a bit?
Right. And what I'm saying is we're about to find out.
Okay.
But first things first, let us know what you're hearing, and we'll kind of
feedback. Very important.
Right on. So with that, gentlemen, how you guys doing this week?
So far, so good, I think.
Right on. Have you all seen the Comet yet?
No.
I have seen it with my bare eyeballs, but haven't had a really good look at it. But yeah, my wife and I took a drive down to the bay a few nights ago and checked it out, and it was kind of cool just to say we've seen it.
I've had daily thunderstorms. This heat wave we've been having, and so I haven't really ventured out to, try to find it.
I'll say I haven't ventured out. I have tried, because it's where it's at. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Northwest.
Yes,
is where you're looking. Is right over a street light in my front yard, or in my street. So it's, even if it was pointed towards my backyard, I would have a little better luck. But there's a little too much light pollution where I live to really get a good glance. Plus, we've been overcast, but not really rain. Rain would be nice. If it was rain, I still probably would need the portable air conditioner, but maybe not as much if it cools down a little bit.
Yeah. How about you, Matt?
So if you don't mind, I'll tell the guys about Friday night real quick.
Yeah, definitely, because that was a lot of fun.
So Friday, at least here in Ohio, was like a crystal clear day. And, I was thinking earlier today, like, man, I got to go out tonight and try to, photograph this comet. And, towards sunset, Mark calls me and he goes, "Hey, are you going to try to go out and photograph that comet?" And I was like, "Actually, yes, like in just a little bit here, I plan to head out." And he was like, "All right, cool. I'm going to go out too. So, when you go out, give me a call." So I drove out to a place about, 25, 30 minutes away from my house where it's quite a bit darker. And, and then I'm on the phone with Mark, and, he was already at his location, and he's saying, "I can't really see it with my eyes, but it's showing up on the camera. The sensor's picking it up real good." And Mark, you got some absolutely fantastic shots.
So while you're talking, I am going to share the photos. So
cool. That's a good idea. Totally amazing. So when I got to my spot, got out of the car, and then kind of like once my eyes adjusted to the darkness and everything, I was pleasantly surprised that I was able to see the comet, just with my naked eye, although it was very faint. And then, a minute or so later, there was an older couple in the parking lot that were fumbling around with something. And I asked them if they were there to see the comet, and they said they were. And they said, "Do you know where it is?" And I was trying to point them to it, but, it was so faint. It was really hard, without some sort of visual aid like binoculars or a spotting scope or something to really point it out to them. But I got a few shots too, so I'm not unhappy, I guess. I'm pretty pleased that I was able to get out and get some pictures of the comet, because it's not every day you get to photograph a comet, and I was pretty stoked that I got anything that turned out, really. And then the flip side of it was I had a lot of failure. And I learned an absolute boatload about really just everything that relates to photographing the night sky, in terms of what my camera, now we're not talking about an iPhone right now, I'm talking about my Sony camera, but basically what its capabilities and limitations are, in terms of like getting a usable file out of it, that's not just filled with noise and, looking all crunchy and crazy. And then also, most of the time when I would photograph the night sky, I'm kind of photographing like the Milky Way or just all the stars. And, you want to get as many in the picture as you possibly can. So you're shooting really wide angle lens. So I have a 16 millimeter lens, which on my camera is more like a 24 millimeter equivalent. But it's f2.8, so pretty wide aperture, lets in a lot of light. And at such a wide angle, you can get away with 20, 25 second exposure.
Not too much movement of the stars.
Yeah, there's no like apparent movement. So the stars still kind of look like nice little pinpoint dots in the sky. But with the Comet, shooting that wide, the Comet would be like really tiny in the picture.
Yes.
So I wanted something that was a little closer view or whatever. And, thinking in my head of like, oh yeah, these are the exposures that I typically use. I knew I had to be faster because when I'm zoomed in more, that movement of the night sky is going to show up more. And I just didn't realize how fast. So, I'm on the phone with Mark and we're talking about our exposures and he's texting me his pictures. I don't know if you have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or how you're able to send me those pictures so quickly, but
I took a
cool.
photograph of the screen and just sent that.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Very basic.
And then like I was just excited if the Comet showed up in the picture because through the viewfinder or even on the LCD screen on the back of the camera, like I can't see it. Everything's just pitch black. I couldn't see a single thing. So I'm just pointing the camera on the tripod in the general direction. And, I'm zoomed in to whatever, 100 millimeters or a little tighter than that. So my field of view is a lot narrower. So I'm just hoping and praying that, I got it right. And actually most of the time I did, and I would just have to tweak it a little bit to get the composition like how I wanted it.
Yeah.
But the LCD on the back of a camera, and it's probably really the same on an iPhone, is really just full of lies and disappointment when you really, get a chance to dive in and really look at the pictures because, I'm shooting these pictures and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. That looks so awesome. And I'm making sure I got the focus right. So I'm zooming as far in as I could zoom into the picture to make sure I got the focus. And I had these shots that I took with a 70 to 300 zoomed all the way out to 300. So that's like a 450 millimeter equivalent. So it's
pretty long.
It's a pretty big frame filling Comet I'm getting. Not really frame filling, but it's decent size in the image.
Yeah.
And so I'm zooming in and I'm like, the Comet itself looks weird, but I could see these little pinpoint stars like all in the background. So I'm like, killer, I got it. Maybe that's just how the Comet looks. What do I know? I've never seen a Comet before. And when I uploaded the photos to my computer and looked at them, the Comet looked weird because it was streaked. A 10-second exposure was way too long. Yep. And then all the stars were streaked too. They were like, a tiny little bar, they weren't pinpoint. So I don't even know what the hell I was looking at when I was zooming, way in. I thought I was looking at, it could have been noise or who the heck knows. But all of those pictures at 300 millimeters were unusable. So
I was just going to say that the Comet was out of your focal range, your depth of field. I meant.
Oh no, I don't think so.
Ooh.
No, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know. Was that a joke? It
was a joke. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I need to get that soundboard and get that boo.
But yeah, I mean, that whole night, and it was probably a good hour and a half of photography or something. I was on the phone with Mark like the whole time, and honestly, it really just felt like I'm out shooting with my buddy.
Yeah.
It was dark. You can't see him, but you could hear him. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Pretty
awesome,
much.
and we're getting to, share photos back and forth and everything. And then while I was out there, I ran into a fellow photographer that it turns out I follow on Instagram. So, we were talking, and actually Mark was still on the phone while I was talking with this lady, and she had walked by and asked if I had gotten any shots, and I showed her a couple of mine, and she goes, "Oh man, those are great and better than mine." And she showed me a photo on the back of her camera, and it was freaking killer. I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, that is the coolest picture ever."
She was clearly being nice.
Complaining. No, it was a fantastic picture.
She did an amazing photo, and I wish I remembered what her name was.
Oh yeah, I should have looked it up, or I should have got it ready to share. I didn't think of that.
She could get her own podcast.
Where I specifically went to this spot that I went to because it's at a lake, and there's a certain road that crosses a part of the lake, and so like you could be on either side of the road and have water in front of you, but on the one side there's a barn on the north shore, so you could theoretically have water in the foreground and then this barn in the midground, and conveniently the comet above in the sky. And I'm like, that's exactly what I want to shoot. Well, I wasn't the only one with that idea. This other lady was kind of in that spot, and then she showed me her shot, and it looked amazing. And she was telling me she was having like focus issues, and was showing me, and it was a little soft, but it wasn't that bad. And we talked about software and how to fix it and blah, blah, blah. So the next day I'm on Instagram, and granted, I didn't catch this lady's name. We didn't exchange names or ask each other about Instagram or anything like that. But the next day I saw that photo as I'm scrolling through Instagram, and I was like, that's the picture. And, so I messaged her, and I said, "Hey, were you the lady with the focus issues? I think I met you last night." And she goes, "Oh yeah, that was me. I had like the 3 annoying kids." And I was like, "No, your kids were cool." And she was like, "Oh wow, I can't believe that was you." And we follow each other on Instagram because we're both in the Canton area, I guess. So
yeah.
In any case, it was neat to kind of run into someone that I've followed them for a long time on Instagram, and her following me, and now we run into each other, in person out, doing the same thing. And I ended up texting Mark a link to her photo, and I was like, look at the freaking photo she got that she was trying to tell me wasn't a good photo. And
it was better than anything I did, better than it was amazing.
It was solid. So much detail, like way beyond my camera's capabilities in terms of capturing detail and color in darkness. Basically, it was just out of control awesome.
So with that, I wanted to bring this to everybody's attention, because in the United States, at least, I don't know how it's going to be for the rest of the world, but this Wednesday is going to be the comet's brightest time in its duration that we get to see it. It's going to be the closest that it's going to be to Earth, and then from then on, I think it's just going to start getting dimmer and dimmer. Matt, do I have that correct?
Well, I actually can't say that you're correct or not correct about the brightness part of it. I just know that Wednesday is the day that it should be the closest to Earth, but from what I understand, that doesn't necessarily correlate with brightness, because the brightness of the comet has to do with more of its proximity to the sun than
that is true
proximity to the Earth.
And it is on its way away from the sun.
Away from the sun. Yeah, listen to me sounding like an astronomer, like I know a thing or two.
No, it's all good, man. Because so here's the thing: that we are the final moments that we could take photos of this thing. So what I am going to do, the moment we end this podcast, is I am out the door and I'm going to test out doing the Comet photos on the iPhone. Now, astrophotography is something that the iPhone doesn't really excel at, unless you have the iPhone 11 Pro with the nighttime photography, horse mumbo jumbo. Gee, really, I wish they
Might have to try it.
definitely give it a try. So if you have the iPhone 11, give that night mode a try, because I definitely would love to see it. I am going
Now,
to
this is night mode without the app. This is just native
right.
app.
This is the built-in one, because I've seen a few people post on Reddit on the iPhone photography, mobile photography, the space subreddit, and the iPhoneography subreddits, pictures they took with their iPhone 11. Some edit it, and one person even said edit it in the Photos app, so they didn't even use Photoshop or anything else. And admittedly, we're not talking, throw away your expensive camera because this is going to replace it. But they did pick up the Comet. You can see the Comet and the tail.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
it's pretty decent. It's not like
for a smartphone that you're probably hand holding or just kind of butting up against something.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
I was going to ask. I mean, I didn't, unfortunately, my tripod's not here. But I do have a Joby grip, but I'm missing the top part.
Let me do this real quick, if you don't mind. I'm going to share my screen real quick. And let me bring up this. Okay. So now, of course, stuff on the internet, grain of salt, assuming everyone's telling the truth about this. But this is someone with an iPhone here, and it says down here, literally my phone propped up against a guardrail, destabilized it, turned on night mode, and exposed for 10 seconds.
That makes sense. That tracks. I've seen.
So they got that of the Comet.
Perfect.
And there's someone else with the Comet photo. Now, this is Joshua Tree National Park, so you're pretty dark out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
At 9:20 at night. And there's someone else. Now, that one, obviously, a lot more pollution there, but okay, there we go. This person was in Poland on a tripod, 30 seconds. With
I'll use my gimbal.
Okay.
To hold it.
So what I just really wanted to say, because we are ending this podcast in just a minute, literally, now's the time to do it. So if you are going out or have any inclination to go take photos, do it now. #TinyShutter on Instagram, and we want to see your photos. If you have the iPhone 11 and are able to use night mode, definitely take your shots. And hey, if you have a regular camera, also do #TinyShutter, because we want to see those photos too. So next week we will show off some of the better photos if we can. And yeah, I think that will be super awesome. Matt and I had a tremendous time just kind of kicking back, virtually hanging out with one another. Let's put it this way. We did some massive social distancing.
Yeah.
Was that 800 miles?
About 800 miles. So you can't ask for anything better than that. We were photographing the same subject. We didn't get in each other's way. Holy crap. We rocked on that side. But gentlemen, hopefully this will be the start of something really great. We have, I think, worked out all the possible, worked out all the kinks and everything. We are upgrading everything, and we are moving along. We are, I swear we're going to be on YouTube with the podcast. But yeah, things are starting to look bright, and I can't wait to see what we could do in the coming future. So with that, where can everybody find you on the web? Let's start with you, Greg.
You can find all my online links at
Hold on, Greg. Greg, unplug and plug back in.
Really?
While you're doing that, Greg, Matt, where can people find you on the web?
All right, check me out at Instagram, Flickr, Twitter, Dayflash, Artful IPhoneography community, all of those at M Hoffman Photo.
How about you, Dave?
Sure. The photography on Instagram is Prof Pod. Photography in general, yelling into the void on Twitter is Prof Pod.
Sweet. How about you, Greg? Let's go back to you.
How do I sound now?
Perfect.
I don't know why this dumb thing does that. But anyway, you're going to find all my online links at about.me/McMillan and over at the Artful Life Photography community as well.
Sweet. And how about you, Matt?
We did me already.
Oh, we did you. Joe,
Yeah.
did we do you?
Yeah, not yet. You can find me at Joseph Ferreira on Instagram.
Perfect. And you can find me, Marc Sadowski, on Instagram. Do a search for Marc Sadowski. It's Mark with a C. And of course, find all of us on tinyshutter.com, youtube.com, and all other places podcasts can be found. And I could say that literally, all places that podcasts can be found. So that's pretty wild. So that's all for this week. We'll see you next time. I should have had the music queued up. Oh, that is such a miss on my part. Here we go. Like and subscribe.